our sir, Joint Secretary sir, rightly said, India has a huge potential, especially in the area of clean and green sustainable fuels. And being one of the major markets globally, we could also be a potentially major producer with these energy sources. So with this presentation, I would just briefly like to touch on this buzzword of green hydrogen. We all are in a learning phase, as we know. Especially moving into the non-fossil environment. And with this information, or you can say piece of work, we are trying to sensitize, the audience, or let's say the people at large. So yeah, let me allow me to move on this one. Yes, so we'll just start with how it all started by our Honorable and dear Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, during the recently concluded COP26, where he highlighted Panchamrit, the 5 key pointers, using which we are moving ahead on the green hydrogen policy. Just touching on them, the target set for 2030, in terms of the renewable energy capacity is 500 gigawatts. So currently we are somewhere around 100 odd, and the target is 500. Also, second point, if we look at 50% of the country's energy requirement would be met using renewable. So that's also another target. The country will reduce the total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons between now and next 8 years. The carbon intensity of the economy would be reduced to less than 45% by 2030. The country would become carbon neutral and achieve net zero emissions by the year 2070. So as you are aware, by the UN, the target is 2050. For our nation, we have a target of 2070. So this is a set of guidelines, and Panchamrit has been told, on which we all are moving ahead. Now, just to look at a few of the key areas or key points which makes this change, this sea of change, very important for an economy like us. Now, India, if we talk about the industry and transportation sector, are the largest end user of the energy. So that's the major use of it. Coal, petroleum, and electricity are basically the supplying, let's say, the fuels. So if we look at this, we see that we are into the non-fossil based, and like rightly said just in the previous session, even going by the chart produced by BP, the major contribution or the energy dependence is on coal and fossil fuels. So we are talking about changing this. We are talking about changing this pie graph, right? And if you look at the renewable or the hydro part, that's very minuscule, just 3 and 4% respectively. So this is where we are, and this is just we saw in the previous slide the direction in which we want to move. Now, few pointers. Okay, so these are the 13 pointers which you would have come across in the last week's release of the first part of the National Hydrogen Policy. The National Hydrogen Mission Policy, as they say. I will not go into each of them in detail, but just to give you an idea, what it comprises of, what areas or what value chain parts does it mainly address, which have been the challenges until now. So first of all, definition of it. I'm sure most of you are aware. However, I will just rephrase it. So basically, it is about producing hydrogen through the electrolysis of water, using the renewable source of energy. So basically your electrolyzers, which have to run, are also supposed to run on the renewable energy. And that's where the demand, or let's say the target of 500 megawatt by 2030 is mainly coming from. Then, there are other provisions which the ministry has tried to provide, like power transmission charges waiver, like land allotment in renewable energy parks, plans for manufacturing zones to set up green hydrogen and green ammonia plants, ease of storage. So these are and competitive pricing through competitive consolidated bids. So these are, through this we believe that more investment and more ease of doing business would come, which eventually not only reduce the carbon footprints, but also reduce the imports, like our sir recently just said, and make us more Atmanirbhar in the long term. Okay, just a short one on the current scenario, and basically looking at the current scenario, we look forward to the windows of opportunity in this, right? So India is a major consumer of energy, right? Rightly, developing nation, second highly populated, ever-rising demand of hydrogen. So like you are aware, we are mainly using hydrogen for two reasons. One is fertilizer sector, and other is the refining sector, which historically both have been the areas where we have seen a sustainable growth. Then demand. So demand somewhere of hydrogen we are talking now is around 6.5 million tons, and this is expected to nearly double in next 8 years. So that means there is a huge gap that needs to be filled through generation of green hydrogen. Okay. Now the government plans to implement the green hydrogen consumption obligation. Okay, so this is something like if you are producing it, you'll get certain obligation to the government, right? Especially in the fertilizer and the petroleum refining industry. And this is similar to what was done with the renewable purchase obligation. I hope you are aware on RPO, right? So this gives you a glimpse of the potential that we have. Now moving on. Just a slide on opportunities and challenges. So first, let's talk about what is green hydrogen. I mean, we always knew of hydrogen, but I believe very few of us now are coming into different colors of it. So conventionally, the hydrogen that we have been seeing is gray most of the time, where it is produced by the fossil fuels like naphtha or natural gas. And then the carbon or the CO2 release is not captured, right? So that's where the environment is getting affected with a higher footfall of carbon. Next better step is the blue, where you are capturing the CO2, and the process is called as CCUS, which is basically carbon capture, usage and storage. So you capture it, you either try to use it in other processes of the industry, or you store it for a longer period of time. And now the world is moving into the third direction, which is the green hydrogen. So there you are not producing the CO2. You're trying to look at the technologies which don't, let's say, make use of carbon or bring carbon into the picture, right? So the opportunities are numerous. Hydrogen is abundant. It is estimated that 90% of the visible universe is composed of hydrogen. So hydrogen is present in several forms. Hydrogen is uniquely clean, that's the USP, because it helps you to decarbonize the sector. So that's where the refinery sector from where I come from, or the petrochemical, that's where all the fuels are getting decarbonized. So that's the cleanest part of it. It's local, so it's highly available, and also the electricity accounts only for less than 20% of the energy economy, which means the 80% of it is still on fossil fuels. So there is a huge scope there. And then unique technological positioning. What does it mean is because this technology is not competing with any other technology, so directly. So which means that, for example, it's not competing or going against the battery part. Okay, so it's a low sensitive application like light duty mobility, electronics, and short duration power backups. So the positioning of the technology is separate, so it doesn't interfere with others. However, with roses comes thorns, and of course there are challenges, mainly related to the setup cost, the infrastructure that it needs, the kind of networking that you would need in terms of power transmission. And some of these points, like I mentioned earlier, have been answered in the recently released hydrogen policy. So cost efficiency, as I mentioned, the availability of green power, which is basically required to run your electrolyzers. Then technological investment and learning curve, because we are still starting. So of course, currently if you talk about production of hydrogen, the cost is around $5 odd a kg, and the target is to reduce it to $1 to $1.5 a kg. And this is defined by the government, and also many of the big players are working in that direction. So until we achieve that, we may not be able to meet our required IIR, IRR, if we are to say that. And then global carbon neutrality is required because it's a vast sea of change, and all the industries are producing a lot of carbon. And currently, like we talk about 2-3 industries, including steel industry now, but then slowly and steadily it will go across other industries too. So this is just in a nutshell of these few minutes we wanted to talk about the green hydrogen. Some of the points which I have concluded out of this are, as you can see on your on the screen. So it needs a lot of incentivization, which we believe has come through the policy. It needs a lot of support, and then that's how we can attract more investments on this front. So India being uniquely positioned, because as you know, we are we have a good coastal land. That's also a good position. And then of course there is a huge demand. We believe there is a high potential for India to lead actually in this technology than to lag. And we look forward, as a government side, we look forward to support the industry through different policy and formulations. So thanks for your time on this. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity given to us by the organizers. Thank you. Yeah, so this, like sir mentioned about the journal, so this is you must be aware about the ICC news. There's the chemical news, so I just got a chance to write an article on this, so please go and have a look. Thank you.